Valravn opened in 2016 as the tallest, fastest, and longest dive coaster in the world at the time, and it instantly became one of the most recognizable rides on Cedar Point skyline. With a 223-foot drop, massive inversions, and those signature dive coaster trains that hang you over the edge, this ride is built for spectacle. But how does it actually ride? Today I'm giving my full review and explaining why Valravn earns an 8 out of 10 from me. Let's start with the moment everybody remembers, that first drop. After climbing the 223-foot lift hill, the train slowly rolls forward and pauses right at the edge. You're dangling there, staring straight down toward the midway. Riders below are watching, cameras are out, and you just hang there for a few seconds before that train releases. Then, you plunge down a 90-degree drop that feels incredibly dramatic. This is easily the best part of the ride. The combination of the holding brake, the vertical plunge, and the sheer height makes it one of the most spectacular first drops on any B&M dive coaster. For me, I do believe Iron Menace does have the better first drop as it is a little bit steeper. However, the Valravn's drop feels like it just goes on forever, which it absolutely nails. One thing you expect from a older B&M is a smooth track work. And Valravn delivers exactly that. From start to finish, the ride glides through its elements with that classic B&M precision. There are no rough spots, no rattles, just clean transitions from element to element. It's the kind of ride where you can focus entirely on the layout because the ride experience itself feels so polished. Wish I could say that for some of the newer B&Ms such as Iron Menace or Rapterra. Valravn features 3 inversions, and they're all pretty fun elements. First up is the Immelman, which gives a nice sweeping inversion right after the drop, which was actually one of the first, was the tallest Immelman at the time, I believe at 167 feet. Then the ride dives down after its mid-course brake run into I believe it's a dive loop, which is just the reverse Immelman. Again, pretty fun, but it is a little bit forgettable. Then it goes into a 0G roll, which is one of the best moments of hang time on the entire ride. The inversions on dive coasters aren't usually super intense, but Valravn does a great job delivering controlled hang time and graceful movements. It's less about forces and more about feeling of floating and flipping through the air. Another thing Valravn absolutely excels at is its presence. The ride dominates the front of the park. Whether you're walking down the midway or standing near the entrance, you constantly see trains diving off that massive drop. It's one of the many coasters at Cedar Point that's just pure fun to watch. The massive trains, the wide track, and that dramatic first drop make it feel like a centerpiece attraction for Cedar Point. And it was back in 2016. Even now, with some bigger additions such as Top Thrill 2 and Siren's Curse, Valravn still has the presence that it had 10 years ago. However, Valravn definitely isn't a perfect ride. My biggest criticism is the layout feeling very, very short. After that incredible first drop and the first Immelman, you go right into the mid-course brake run, which kills all the speed, but that is generally on most dive coasters. After that, you head into the dive loop, the 0G roll, and then an airtime hill before the ride comes to a quick end. The layout isn't bad, it's just over before you really want it to be. For a coaster with such an impressive lift hill and scale, it feels like the ride could have used 1 or 2 additional elements to stretch things out a bit. This also plays into the fact that Valravn still gets one of the larger lines in the entire park, generally hovering at about a 60-minute wait. The other issue for me is the vest-style restraints. These newer restraints are designed for comfort and security, but a lot of riders like me feel like they restrict movement a bit too much. On Valravn, they can slightly limit the freedom you feel during hang time moments. They're not terrible, but they definitely take away a little bit of the ride's potential. I do think B&M's restraints have gotten better since this, as some of the older ones did lock. I can't particularly recall if Valravn's did lock, because it has been quite a bit since I rode Valravn, but I'll be sure to give my updated thoughts when I get on the ride again. If the restraints were less restrictive, some of those inversions might feel even better with the hang time, such as how they feel on Griffin. Overall for me, Valravn is still a very fun and well-engineered ride. The first drop is phenomenal, the ride is incredibly smooth, and the inversions provide solid hang time moments. It might not be the most intense coaster at Cedar Point, but it's a great example of how dive coasters are meant to deliver a big and cinematic experience. Because of that, I still rank Valravn among some of my favorite B&M dive coasters out there. I probably would put it above Iron Menace, but probably underneath Griffin and Chikra. I am expecting to get on Yukon Striker this season, so I'm excited to see how it stacks up to that. With all that being said, I'm going to give Valravn a final score of 8 out of 10. It's a smooth, visually impressive ride with an outstanding first drop. If the layout were just a little bit longer and the restraints were a little bit less restrictive, I could have easily ranked it higher in the coasters to Cedar Point. That's going to do it for my review of Valravn here at Cedar Point. If you enjoyed this review, make sure to like, comment, and subscribe for more coaster reviews here on Faz Coasters, and let me know in the comments what you think of Valravn. Be sure to keep an eye out for more vlogs, reviews, and news videos coming very soon. I'll see you guys in the next one.